Hey guys, this week I have a few updates for you about Starlink, our Andersen weight distribution hitch and extension setup, as well as some exciting news at the end of the video. But first, I'll start with Starlink. We haven't used Starlink in about a month, but right now we're set up in Wisconsin and it's working great. We've been at this campground for about 3 days and we've been getting somewhere between 60 and 160 megabits download and about 5 to 20 megabits upload. On our trip from Texas back to New Hampshire, we did use it several times and we've had excellent luck so far. The slowest times seem to be in the evening when everyone is streaming video. But for the most part, it's plenty usable, it's just a little bit slower, like in the 10 to 20 megabit range. We have found huge differences in speeds, and it varies from location to location. In some locations, we've seen as little as 2 megabits. In other locations, we've seen as high as 400 megabits. But for the most part, it's right in that 20 to 100 megabit range, which is perfect for us. We tend to have more problems when we're close to cities, but not always. I've been reading a lot of complaints in the online groups and forums about reduced speeds for Starlink, and I think most of that has to do with their rapid growth. It's been a huge upgrade over our previous cellular setup. It's allowing us to work anywhere we want to go without having to hunt for cell phone service. And I still have high hopes that the service will continue to improve with time. I would like to come up with some kind of elegant mounting solution, but I haven't thought of anything good yet. So between now and then, I'll just keep setting it up whenever we need it. For the most part, we rely on our cell phone plans while we're in motion, and then when we get to a place like this campground, we're able to set it up and use it for the week. Overall, Sasha and I are very happy customers, and we're really happy that we got it when we did. It's been a huge game changer for us, and I'm actually uploading all of my video data right now. As for the Andersen weight distribution hitch, it's been performing very well. Now that I have it disconnected, you can see where the trailer coupler dug into the ball. But you can also see that it doesn't move very much, which is exactly how it's supposed to work. But I'll be curious to see how this ball looks after 10,000 miles of towing. So far, we've only done about 800 miles. I've had zero sway and the hitch is super quiet. So far, I'm really impressed with what it does, especially for the size and weight of the unit. Only time will tell how it holds up, but the reviews out there are pretty good, so I'm gonna keep my fingers crossed. I'm working on the Andersen weight distribution hitch section of the video right now, and I wanted to give you a quick update. I decided that I wanted to call Andersen's tech support to get some answers about how to adjust the hitch further, and I have to say my experience with them was really good. I called the number on the website, dialed 2 for support, and waited about 30 seconds, and someone picked up and answered all my questions. I told them how I had adjusted it at 2 turns and 3 turns and 4 turns, and of course 4 turns is what they recommend.
Tighten it 4 revolutions on both sides.
But could I go to 5 turns or 6 turns? He said that the goal is to compress the rubber bushing about 1/4 inch, so it comes from the factory at 2 inches and you can compress it down to 1 3/4 inches, and that's kind of the standard preload. I told him that I was towing with an extension and I'd like to get a little bit more weight distribution to take the stress off of the factory hitch. He said that you can compress the rubber bushing until it's the same diameter as the washer. So I'm gonna figure that out in a couple days when we get set up to go, but he said I can definitely go 5 turns, that should be no problem. I'll be really curious to see if adjusting it a little bit tighter makes the stress on that factory hitch much less. So I'll have to update you in another video in the future. He also said that the groove I'm seeing in the ball is most likely the plating coming off and not really the actual steel. He said that depending on the trailer you have, you will see a groove getting worn into that, but it shouldn't be an issue because once it reaches kind of an equilibrium, it'll stay there for many, many miles. But again, I'll be really curious to see how this thing looks in another 10,000 miles. In the last video, I showed you some footage of the hitch movement while towing, and it showed a little more movement than I'm comfortable with. I'll leave a link to that video up here. After watching the video of the extension bouncing around, I disconnected my weight distribution system, reattached, and adjusted it. That made a huge difference, and it seems to take some of the load off of the extension. This footage is from before, and this footage is from after the weight distribution adjustment. These are similar bridge joints with similar amounts of movement. But now, the movement in the factory receiver hitch is significantly reduced. Keep in mind though, that the movement I showed in that last video were the very worst bumps and bridge joints that send the entire rig into low Earth orbit. Some of those bridge joints are like driving over speed bumps at 60 miles an hour, so it's going to be hard on any hitch extension setup. The footage of normal driving is rather boring, but you can watch it here. I do want to reduce any excess movement, and the first thing I need to do is check my tongue weight. I ran to Walmart and I bought a bathroom scale. I have it set up here, and I have this 20-inch board with a 10-inch mark right in the middle for the tongue. Nothing's on it right now. So 50% of the weight should be here and 50% of the weight should be here. So that means all I have to do is double whatever the number is on this scale. So let's do that right now. I'm gonna drop the tongue. Okay, the pad is off, and we get 224 pounds. Call it 225. So that means we have about 450 pounds of tongue weight, which is actually perfect for this size trailer. The trailer is about 4,000 pounds. So that puts our tongue weight right in that 10 to 15% range. However, I would like to maybe reduce that by 30 or 40 pounds, but that's gonna be accomplished by simply moving my tools back to where they were and moving our stairs back to the camper or back to the bed. So if I simply clean up all of this stuff and put it back here over the axles, that should solve that problem. Now, if you see a problem with how I did this, please let me know in the comments, but I'm pretty sure that that's about a 50-50 split. I do have my eyes set on the TorqueLift Super Hitch and Super Truss system, but we're only at this campground for a few more days, and then we have a 400-mile drive to our next destination. Once we're there, I'll have about a month where I can receive packages and work on the installation. I'm not a huge fan of my current setup, but it was what I needed to do to get on the road. Some of your comments were talking about how the steel in the hitch could fatigue over time because of the excess movement, and that eventually the hitch could fail. And I have those same concerns. So I'm really hoping that I'll be doing an upgrade in the not too distant future. I'm also going to be attaching chains from the frame down to the safety chain attachments on the hitch, just in case of a failure. So I think the extra set of chains, while they might be unnecessary, are going to remove any potential risk that the trailer could become detached from the truck. It's just a little extra safety until I get a better hitch set up on there. So make sure you're subscribed and you click the little bell icon so that you get notified whenever we post a new video. I would love to do that setup right now on camera, but our truck is currently in the shop. You might have noticed that this red car is definitely not our truck. There's nothing wrong with it, but it's getting a new Hillsboro flatbed on it, and I'll do a video about that soon. In previous videos, I mentioned that I was looking for an F550 or a 5500 series truck. Unfortunately, after months of hunting for an F550 or a Ram 5500, I decided to wait. My hope is that inventory is going to improve with the 2023 models, or maybe I'll just order a truck. If I order a truck, I'm only going to have to pay the MSRP and whatever other fees they have. If I buy a truck from dealer inventory right now, I'm going to be paying a $5,000 to $10,000 premium on top of the MSRP. That's because of the crazy market right now and the fact that there's much more demand than supply. So for now, it makes sense to just wait. A flatbed will be a really nice upgrade, and we really can't wait to get the truck back. We dropped the truck off yesterday, which was Wednesday, and today is Thursday, so we should be getting the truck back later tonight. But since I have to finish this video right now, the flatbed is going to have to wait for another video. So make sure you're subscribed and click that little bell notification icon so you get notified whenever I post a new video. So that's all I have for you this week. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye. That's cool. Well, that's the beginnings of it.